Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.
All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown Podcast. It is Monday, October 10th, and I'm going to let one Stavros Halkias summarize this one for us.
Justin Tucker, you can fuck my bitch, baby. Ravens, baby. Kings of the fucking AFC North. The Bengals fucking suck. Joe Burrow sucks. He's a fucking bust, yo. Last year was a fucking fluke. Your eyes are too blue, yo. White Walker looking motherfucker. Yo, why'd Joe Burrow come in the game today dressed like a fucking lesbian attending her estranged father's funeral, yo? Shit, the only funeral you was attending was your own. Cause of death, Justin Tucker's fucking leg, bitch. John Harbaugh, brilliant football mind, brilliant tactician. The game, look, it wasn't perfect, okay? Lamar missed a couple throws. Flacco would have hit him. But hey, let's not dwell on the negatives. Let's look at the fucking positives. The Ravens are going to win it all. Shit, I'm so happy I might even pay child support this month. You hear that, Tabitha? You ain't got to garnish my wages from AutoZone this month, bitch.
Stavi Baby sums it up very well. The Ravens moved to 3-2 with a 19-17 win on the leg of one Justin Tucker. John Harbaugh fought against his own battles and ultimately decided, hey, let's kick a field goal on 4th and 2 down near the red zone, down near the goal line. The Ravens end up walking out of this one. Baltimore Ravens defense stood on 10 fingers and toes in this one. Absolutely dynamite. I think that they executed supremely well in the red zone, in short yardage. They sniff out that Philly play. The Bengals try to run the classic little end around, reverse, throw it to Burrow, and the Ravens just completely stiffed it out. They covered Burrow. They also on 4th and short, I believe 4th and goal, down on the goal line. The Ravens sniff out a empty set shovel pass attempt from the Bengals and perfectly stay with it. The Ravens held the Bengals to, I believe, 4 of 11 on 3rd and 4th down in this game. So over the last few games here, over the first 5 weeks, I should say, the Ravens have held the Bengals to 4 of 11, the Bills of 5 to 11, Patriots of 3 of 10. The Dolphins were the one game where they obviously struggled super poorly and ended up allowing 9 of 11 such situations. And then the Jets, 5 of 19. So they've been holding teams well under 50% for the most part. 50% would be a really high mark, but still, I think the Ravens have really executed in those high leverage downs, especially I think Marcus Peters was outstanding in this game, seeing him making plays from the opening drive all the way through the end of the game, consistently bringing that kind of edge, that attitude that the Ravens have missed when he was out, and was able to make play after play after play, shoves Mike Thomas, the Bengals wide receiver, out of the back of the end zone. Burrow's one attempt trying to push the ball over 20 air yards, and Peters just dominates him and forces him out of bounds. Guy makes a nice snag, but Peters never let him get a chance at getting both feet in bounds ultimately. So this was a really awesome performance for the Ravens defense. The pass rush looked sharp. I thought Odafe Owe was really strong in this one. Going to go back and go through film and such, of course, but looked like Owe was a really strong presence in the run game, especially early on. They just didn't really allow the Bengals run game to ever get going all the way, and just completely bottled up the Bengals from start to finish. The Bengals obviously have struggled so much when teams run split safety looks, and Joe Burrow had one of the most pathetic looking spray charts or heat maps, whatever you want to call it, for him in this game. Like I said, only one attempt pushing the ball downfield and just sputtered out consistently. The Bengals did sustain a long drive, do go score a touchdown. They also scored a touchdown. Hayden Hurst makes a nice little diving play there. And it felt like, yet again, the Ravens just were playing against the referees as well, even in victory and back-to-back games. There's an illegal formation. There's illegal use of hands. There's pass interference multiple times. All kinds of calls that were just not going the Ravens' way. The one call that did go their way was in the fourth quarter Bengals defensive lineman Zach Carter gets called for defensive holding on a run play, which is something that teams have really tried to emphasize against the Ravens rushing attack over the last couple of years. Obviously, their rushing attack has been so good. And so teams have started to hold the offensive linemen and prevent those combo blocks from working to the second level, things of that nature. So I think that this was a really strong performance overall. Obviously, not a great day throwing the ball for Lamar, but with his legs, he did plenty and goes and wins the game as a game-winning drive. The Ravens run veer 2 times, their staple concept, I would say, where it's called a read option. That's not what it is. It's a power play where the back goes with the pullers, and then Lamar Jackson's able to keep the ball if he wants, tuck the ball, and pull it and attack vertically while the back is attacking. Then there's the bash, obviously, where the back goes away and the quarterback can go the opposite way of the running back. So veer is when you stay with the running back, same direction. Bash is when back goes away. So they end up running that play 2 times in a row. I think the Ravens offensive line had a really nice performance in this game. And it was really curious just seeing the Ravens rotate Ronnie Stanley. So it felt like he was going to end up starting and playing all the way through, but that wasn't the case. Feels like they wanted him to dip his toes in a little bit. So it does feel like there's some sort of trepidation there, which you don't love to see, but hey, at the same time, they're working him back in. They have a guy like McCary that is more than comfortable kind of going in, going out. In this game, we end up seeing Linderbaum fight through being hurt, I will say. Not sure if he's injured or what the situation is, but it appears he was fine. So he ends up missing 2 snaps. Mark Andrews on the field for 95% of offensive plays 62 snaps in this one, which is a lot. That is a lot for anyone that runs routes and sprints and runs downfield. That's a ton of usage there. Obviously, they missed Rashad Bateman. Demarcus Robinson plays 49 snaps in this game, 75%. I think he only had 1 catch for 8 yards. Devin Duvernay had an awesome performance. It feels like, and Matt Waldman made a nice video summarizing it, and I agree at this point fully. It feels like the Ravens are tossing him the ball, trying to get him the ball in space a little bit, and trying to recreate returns, basically. So they run a sweep with pullers, and it gives him that ability to kind of see a hole and go attack it, go get downfield. He ends up picking up a muff snap that hits off him. It felt like Linderbaum may have messed up the timing of the snap and hits him. He picks the ball up, scampers for a little bit, made several plays downfield as well, moved the chains a couple times. So overall, Lamar Jackson didn't have a great day throwing the ball, didn't have a ton of weapons to throw the ball to. We did say Isaiah Likely almost go make a play and convert a first down. I believe that was in the first half. I'll have to double check, but ultimately seeing him able to go try and convert and goes and pushes his way, forces his way, and gets to the point where it is a 4th and 1, and the Ravens go force. This is the beginning of the 4th quarter, pardon me, and the Ravens go try and force a false or offsides on the Bengals. Couldn't get them to. Harbaugh calls a timeout, or just takes a delay of game, pardon me, and then that was the crux. They decided on 4th and 1 to kick a field goal, and it worked, man. It ended up being the deciding factor. It put them in a situation where they could go kick another field goal and win. The Bengals get the ball after that field goal. The Bengals take the ball over with 9:42 in the 4th quarter. They do Joe Mixon for 7, Joe Mixon for 10, an incompletion. They get a defensive holding. Then there's a 4-yard gain, a 9-yard gain, a 3-yard gain, a 6-yard gain, an 8-yard gain, a 5-yard gain, 0 yards, 13 yards, 4 yards, and then finally Joe Burrow snuck in and scored a touchdown. So the Bengals sustained one real nice drive in this one and are unable to hold off the Ravens. Lamar Jackson flicks one to Mark Andrews twice for 7 and 8. Jackson scrambles for 5 yards. The Bengals get a too many men on the field as well. Then Jackson carries for 19, Kenyon Drake for 4, Jackson for 4, and then Jackson for 3. Justin Tucker bangs a 43-yarder. And man, oh man, is it nice to have Justin Tucker as your kicker. It just doesn't get a lot better than having that weapon. And for him to go afterwards and make the post-game comments that he's a system kicker. That's not the first time he said that. He loves to say that the ball pretty much kicks itself. I think that's kind of their mantra that they end up making. So they've said that quite a few times, but just really, 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 really fun game to watch. I think that M&T Bank Stadium was absolutely raucous in this one. It was so loud, and to watch the defense come up, make plays consistently, and then for Lamar Jackson to go have a game-winning drive after a rough game. Obviously, he misses a couple deep throws. He had Duvernay deep on, I think, like a deep post and sailed it like 2 steps away where Duvernay couldn't make a play. Then he has Tylan Wallace wide open and can't hit him. So the Ravens really did have the opportunities. That's why I thought I ended up taking the Ravens money line, and I took the Bengals +3 to kind of hedge myself a little bit. And the Ravens end up winning by 2. So I doubled up on that. But it's just scary that this team still isn't firing on all cylinders. Ronnie Stanley still isn't integrated back. J.K. Dobbins is still on a pitch count. Gus Edwards still not back. Tyus Bowser still not back. Marcus Williams, they do end up losing in this one, probably for, I would think, at least 2 months. So hopefully he's able to return for a December kind of run at some point, maybe mid-late December, from a dislocated wrist, I believe. So super strange injury there. I don't see that too often. So now it's going to vault Geno Stone into playing a lot more. Kyle Hamilton obviously going to be asked to play a lot more. We did see Pepe Williams, I think, have a really nice game as well. So overall, I think this Ravens defense is starting to figure themselves out. Jason Pierre-Paul looked really strong. Malik Harrison, I thought, had a quiet, consistent game, ending plays, being in the right spot. And it just feels like they're really starting to get comfortable in their zones and in their depths. Patrick Queen obviously comes up with a big interception. He roboted, meaning attacked the play action, rolled over and turned and ran, roll over back technique, robot, and gets that interception. We see him consistently in good spots, in good depth. And I think that's where the Ravens are really starting to make hay defensively. They are starting to really understand how to pattern match and match route combinations from zone and where good depth is. And they're really trying to force teams to paper cut them to death. And like I said, the Bengals do have one drive where they don't generate an explosive play and they, nickel and dime. And that's what the Bills had to do too. So it feels like there are elements. Mike McDonald is Dean Pease and Wink Martindale. He does like to bring pressure. He does like to use some of those creepers. But then we also go watch the Giants play the Packers, and Wink Martindale goes and wins the game, forcing, Aaron Rodgers to throw quick, and they're able to tip the ball. And Wink Martindale's still doing the same thing. It feels like that was probably the impasse that Harbaugh and Wink Martindale had, where you don't want to blitz cover zero so frequently with the game on the line and go in those pressure situations all the time. It feels like Harbaugh kind of, after having Wink, and he's dealt with Rex Ryan, and he also had Dean Pease, he's like, I want some common ground. I want the Goldilocks of those. I want to be able to, force good teams to attack us underneath, consistently execute, and force people to play like Tom Brady, basically. Like, that's what has made Tom Brady so good, is that when you get conservative, he will just check down in rhythm, then hit you with a big play after a while. So they're forcing people to make those kinds of plays. We do see Matt Rule fired as we're coming across the ticker here, something that definitely was anticipated. I think a lot of people had wagered on him to be the first fire. He has 4 years left on his contract still. So, hey, when you're looking at this Ravens team and what they need, I think they're going to get Tyus Bowser back here in the next 2-3 weeks on the field. I would imagine he maybe starts practicing this week or next, and then probably needs a week or two to ramp up and get in, kind of like Ronnie Stanley, a little less because Stanley took so long. But, hey, when you're looking, what could this Ravens team use? DJ Moore, man. Even Robbie Anderson, but this Ravens team really does need another hoss. Devin Duvernay has stepped up tenfold and was electric in this game, in so many ways consistent, I think is the best word to use to describe Devin Duvernay. He consistently executes, consistently reels in decently tough catches, consistently, is able to be an impact returner, things like that. Rashad Bateman, supposed to come back either this week or next week. Go get a DJ Moore who is under control, and you would like to add to this offense some sort of element of another player that can make plays like that. So if you can get him for a second and a fifth, something like that, absolutely should make that decision there. But I digress. Ultimately, it was just really nice to see. It was not Lamar Jackson's best game, but at home, the lights are bright. It's Sunday Night Football. Ray Lewis and Nelly are in there. Ray's doing his thing. The crowd showed up big time for this one. And to watch Lamar able to go execute at the end of the game, fantastic, man. Fantastic. Defense, like I said, executed in those crucial situations. They forced the Bengals to drive down the field methodically. And they did once, to the Bengals' credit. They did go take the lead late in the fourth quarter. And Lamar Jackson went and did it. And then you have Justin Tucker, man. So that is the winning formula. I think an underrated thing here, how many timeouts did John Harbaugh have at the end of the fourth quarter? 3. He had 3 timeouts. Was able to retain those, not make any silly decisions. It felt like there was a lot more control and confidence, and there was less of that frenetic energy is that word that I keep using. There was less of that nervous, frantic energy that the Ravens have kind of allowed to seep in and sow doubt into these late game situations at times over the last couple of years. And the Ravens defense, like I said, forces a long drive. The Bengals do score. And then Lamar Jackson flips the ball to Mark Andrews a couple of times, reels off a 19-yard run. Justin Tucker can kick it from 187 yards out. So that is the winning recipe. Retain your timeouts, get the ball back, force teams to drive the length of the field. If they can, kudos to them. And allow Lamar Jackson to go make some plays. You can go run the ball well. I feel like this was a really big momentum swing in terms of the offensive line, them starting to feel like they can move bodies really well. I'm curious to go back and watch. I think Ben Powers probably had a really nice game. I think Linderbaum probably had a really nice game. Zeitler probably had a really nice game. So Jackson, it did feel like Lamar kind of the second straight week of him being timid and having trepidations in his reads, not really being in rhythm a ton, but throws a couple absolute dimes. The Ravens are backed up in their own territory, and Lamar just seeds to Mark Andrews a couple times, floats one while ends up getting hit, floats one between three defenders, also threads the needle early in that drive to Mark Andrews, who is able to catch and run. So being calm, playing in rhythm when you need to, and you didn't have a Rashad Bateman. Ronnie Stanley's working his way back in. Dobbins still has a governor on. They're not letting him go 125 miles an hour yet. I don't think he played a snap in the fourth quarter. And so he goes and likes a tweet, whatever. I guess everyone's going to be like micro analyzing that for no reason, but good. You want him to want the ball. You also want him fresh in December. So coming back from injury, giving him time to figure out that workload balance. That's what you want to see. The Ravens, a lot of angst of, hey, they've rushed guys back. They've done this, they've done that. So they got to work these guys back in. They need them in December. The Ravens are in first place in the AFC North. The Bengals are struggling. Their offense is sputtering. They don't have DJ Reader, which obviously is a huge loss for them in this one. The Ravens end up averaging over 5.5 yards a carry. You remove a quarterback kneel. I think they ran the ball 27 times for 156 yards, and like 98 of those yards were running backs. So I don't know. Who scares you in the AFC North? The Browns are – I think Kevin Stefanski's a good coach, and that whole Deshaun Watson situation is well documented for how strange that whole thing was. And I think he did a good job dressing up Brissett. But unfortunately, it's going to turn back into a pig with lipstick on, and that's going to be a tough situation. The Steelers are doing the rookie quarterback thing, and more power to them. But, this looks about as good of an opportunity for them to end up for the first time under Mike Tomlin finishing under 500. They don't have a super easy schedule. They don't have TJ Watt, who's now getting arthroscopic knee surgery and is expected to not recover until like December, late December. So if at that point they're like, 3-4 games out, maybe you should just, put it on ice for the rest of the season and heal up. So you don't end up like your older brother, JJ, who's played through so many injuries and like basically says he dies on the football field every single week trying to play through all the things he's done to his body. So this was an awesome win for the Ravens. They needed it. John Harbaugh, like I said on Twitter, if you can't get the team up to go perform at home against a division rival under the lights coming off of a tough loss, then that's supposed to be your whole shtick. And he did it. He got them to perform. He had them calm. They made good decisions. Felt like they had some nice play calls. Felt like the defense executed extremely well. Special teams have been on point all year long. So this team, I could have seen, like Jake said last week, I could, you budget for a loss here potentially. Bills, Bengals, those are losses that are acceptable if they happen. But I think this Ravens team still is like, they are capable of so much with a little bit of injury luck. Of course, they lose Marcus Williams, one of the top safeties in the NFL, for probably 2 months. But with a little bit of injury luck, just average injury luck, they will be able to make strides over the next month. I think this is a team that's going to peak in the second half. And I think they're on the righteous path. They're starting to be able to run the ball really effectively again. They feel consistent in their approach defensively. They have been able to perform, like I said, on 3rd and 4th down. And utilizing Justin Tucker is probably a good idea. Save your timeouts. Don't call timeouts in the second half. Give Lamar Jackson the ball. He can go get you 30 yards with his legs with 4 downs, and let Justin Tucker go kick 50,000-yard field goals because he can. He can kick the ball over them their mountains whenever he wants to. So that's about 20 minutes, guys. We'll probably do another episode tonight or perhaps tomorrow. Wanted to get together with Jake. Both of us went to the game last night, so it was a little tough. Apologize for the late episode. But with that, I'm going to yield. Make sure to like and subscribe, and please give us 5-star reviews. If you're listening to this on Apple, if you're listening to this on Spotify, please give us a 5-star review. Love you guys for that. We are looking forward to a December 4th tailgate ahead of the Broncos game, Marshall Yanda's Ring of Honor induction ceremony. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Follow Jake at Jake Luke. Follow me at Ravens4Dummies. Follow the show at Podcast Beatdown and all that good stuff, man. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Great win. The Ravens are sitting pretty, 3-2 in control of their own destiny. You know, it's early to say that, but they're in sole possession of first place in the AFC North. And I don't think anyone in the AFC North is terribly scary. And I think this team's going to become scary by the time it's November, December. So with that, have a great Victory Monday. Enjoy the rest of the day. This one is a fun marination, and then we'll get on, through film, working through all that good stuff, and then move on to the Giants and prepare for them to take on Wink Martindale and see how that matchup, the old Greg Roman Wink Martindale battle, is going to be a fun one. So thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and see you.